Hey there and welcome. Today we're going to talk about adding integers with opposite signs. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so here you can see we have two problems and we're going to focus on this we do problem first. So it says 27 minus 42. And just like when we were adding the same sign integers, but those integers were negative, we're going to rewrite this problem. And so instead of it saying 27 minus 42, we're going to make it 27 plus negative 42. Because it just makes it a little bit easier to tell whether or not the number is positive or negative. So now I can see that this 27 here is positive, and I can see that this 42 is negative. So I have a positive number and a negative number. So this time they're opposite signs, and so I'm not going to add them together and get something bigger. Excuse me. So instead what we're going to do is we're adding the opposite. You might know it as subtraction because it's kind of the same thing, but subtraction's a lie because in subtraction all we're really doing is adding the opposite. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to draw a picture, right? We said in a couple videos ago that one of the ways that you can show this kind of problem is through drawing a picture or manipulatives. Obviously, I can't use a manipulative in a video, so we're going to draw a picture. So I'm going to draw two big circles to represent 20, and then seven small circles, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, to represent my 7. So here total I have 27. And then I'm going to draw 4 big circles for 40. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 2 small circles for my 2, and these are all negative. And that's going to give me my 42. Right, so my green circles are 27, my red circles are 42. So now I need to go through and I need to create 0 pairs. And 0 pairs are just when two numbers combined together, I guess multiple numbers, more than 2 numbers combined together, and the answer becomes 0. That's all that a 0 pair is. So I can go through and I could be like, that's a 0 pair, that's a 0 pair, that's a 0 pair, that's a 0 pair. And so now I can see that I have positive numbers left over and I have negative numbers left over, and now I don't know what to do. If you remember in the rules of subtraction, sometimes we have to borrow from the placeholder over, right? We'll take 10 from one spot and we'll put it into another, and that's what we need to do here because we can't be left with positive and negative numbers. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to erase these 0 pairs that I've made, and I'm actually going to take this set of 10 from my negatives and I'm going to borrow from there because that's what's big and left over. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to break it up into 10 small circles. So let's do that instead. So I'm going to erase this big one, and I'm going to draw in 10 small circles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so I took that big circle and I just broke it into 10 small circles. So now I can actually, sorry about that. Now I can go through and I can redo my 0 pairs. So that was a 0 pair and that was a 0 pair. That's a 0 pair. There we go. Here's another. And I'm going to have to go individually, but that's okay because it's a positive and it's a negative. All right, so now we can see all of my positives are gone. I don't have any positives left over, which is fantastic. So now I'm left with this one and then these ones here, and they're all negative. So I'm going to count those up, and remember that this one here is worth 10, and then these ones here are all worth 1. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 5 of those, so I have 10 plus 5, which gives me 15. But remember, these are negative, so I have negative 15. So 27 plus negative 42 is negative 15. All right, So 27 minus 42 is also negative 15. Right, so now let's look at this other problem, negative 32 plus 15. So let's just draw this one out real quick. So this time my negative is in the opposite spot, right? This already says plus in between, which is really what we want. Because now I can tell that this is a negative 32, and this is a positive 15. So I'm just going to go straight into drawing my circles. You can also draw squares, right? I tend to draw circles because my squares turn out a little funky. So there's my 30, there's my 2, oop, not a plus sign, these are all negative numbers. So here are all my negative symbols. And then I have 10, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll draw it over here. Here we go. All of these are plus signs. And so now let's see. Let's see if we can go through this without needing to borrow. All right, so I'm going to 0 pair that. I'm going to 0 pair that. I'm going to 0 pair that. And unfortunately, I'm stuck with positives and negatives again. Do we see that? Those are my negatives. Those are my positives. And I can't have both. So we're going to need to borrow. And if you're not quite sure who to borrow from, sorry about that. If you're not sure who to borrow from, you're going to borrow from the one that actually has a set of 10, because that's what's left to borrow. So I'm going to get rid of all of my highlights, all of my 0 pairs, because I just can't use them. And this big clunk of 10 is going to change to 10 small chunks of 1. And instead of just erasing it and drawing 10 more, I'm actually going to rewrite this whole thing below it. Excuse me. So I'll draw a little separation line there so we don't get confused. And so I'm going to have 1 negative, 2 negative. Remember, I'm changing this one to 10 small negatives. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These are all negatives, negative, 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 negative. So that was just from that big clunk, and then I still have these 2 small ones left over. All right, so this is still negative 32. And let's draw my greens. So now I have one big one for the positive 10, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 small ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's do our 0 pairs again. So I'm going to cross out those. That's a 0 pair, 0 pair, 0 pair, 0 pair, 0 pair. Now let's see what's left. I have this one, and then I have all of those. So let's count that up. So this one gives me 10. And here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 10 plus 7 gives me 17. And this time we still have negatives left over, so our answer is still negative. So negative 32 plus 15 gives me negative 17. And there you have it. If you would like to try some more problems and maybe a little bit more of a challenge, here are some more problems for you to try. Go ahead and try any ones that you like, but please know I don't have the answers in this video. All right, and that's all for today. So until next time, I'll see you later. Love you, bye.